Welcome to the channel if you're new here. My name is Rez Huseyin. I'm a student of the Diamond Approach, a spiritual path that I discovered through my work with the Enneagram. And here with me is senior teacher of the Diamond Logos Path and leader of retreats on Essence at the Mandali Center in Italy, Emilio Mercuriali. So it's nice to be with you again, Emilio. So you're just done teaching a retreat on the point of light.
Yeah,
How was it?
good. Now, first of all, thank you for having me again. It's nice to be here. And the retreat went very well. It was one of the groups that formed. It's a new group that formed and went from the Latif to the point. So it was it was beautiful. And I'm pleased with also how the group formed. And it was nice.
I'm glad. Reflecting on our last conversation, and seeing as you're so interested in what we in our work call the personal essence, and I too am very interested in that topic, I thought we could maybe explore that in a slightly more organized way. So start with a definition, one that allows people who are not familiar with our paths to understand. So what is this? Well, before I ask you that question, does that sound okay to you?
Yeah, I think it would be good to try to give an overview of the work, what it means when we say essence and what we do in the work. I think
Yeah.
it's useful. I think maybe my approach usually is to make examples, or not examples, but to refer to our coming into, being born and coming into our being and in our families, in our societies, and what that and what happens then. And I think that's very useful to understand then what we're trying to do with the work, with our work, and what we mean by essence. I think if you start from the baby, it's quite obvious that there is no ego and there is being. I mean, everybody feels something around the baby. People either giggling or they try to be quiet or they so admiring. It's an event. I mean, the baby, there is no person. I mean, there's no person such as the ego person that we're used to, but there is a being and it's tangible. The presence is not just a body animated. There is something, some presence there. And, grandmothers tiptoe around the baby. Everybody's trying to keep silent, do not disturb the baby. It's an event. There's a being. This being is born. And we see that as we grow and they grow, there is this separation or a growth of the personality, the ego structure that is necessary for the child to be among humans in this daily life and in this society, in these families. And during that process of growing, developing this structure, this interface, is paradoxically, we forget the being. We forget what we were because it's so innate and so, what to call it, preverbal, is so that, and the mirroring or the interactions with the families and our parents and the family society is they mostly refer to our personality. They tell us what we should be doing and how we should be and what not to do. It's all addressing the part that needs to learn how to be among others in a society, and not much reflection on the being because they also forgot it. So then no mirroring, no reflection on the being, no reminder of the being, but just, do your homework or whatever that is, to make it very simple. So that process makes us forget what we call our essence, our true self, our real self, which is an experience. It's not a concept. It's not a construct. It's phenomena, what to call it. It's difficult also to define. So I think that the scope of the work will be to work backwards through how we, by building the personality, we forgot the essence, the real, and we develop some coping mechanism or we adapt it. So the scope of the work would be to trace it, to work backwards. How did we disconnect? What happened? How they were not happy when I was doing so and so, when I was full of energy, when I was running all the time, and they were disturbed. It was too much. They couldn't handle it. And so they start screaming or whatever. They start praising me when I was not doing it. They start rewarding me when I was not doing what I felt like doing. And so we look at how we lost it, how we disconnected through the interactions with family and people around us, and then remember how it was, maybe reconnect with it, work with the, I'm making it very simplistic, but we're working with psychological issues. So to see them, see how we got patterned, how we got conditioned, and then hopefully reconnect with the lost aspects and integrate them in our daily life now, in the way we are now. And this real self, real, the essential part is not just one state. There are many flavors, many aspects, and we name them. We call them the lataif, for example, experiences that manifest. They're very different from each other. One is like what I was saying, the vitality, the energy that we call it, the red latifa, the aliveness. This other, for example, the yellow latifa is joy and curiosity and spontaneity. So the human being has many flavors, let's say, has many, comes in many, and changes, is changeable. The being of the human being changes, is not a static thing. And in the work, we try to reconnect with the different qualities, integrate them into our daily life so that we can be more real, more the baby that we were. Now I learned so many things, how to be in life. And so we can have both. We can have our being as we came, the purity of being, and the skillful means to be in society. And integrating the two, we can really become the walking human being, the walking mystery, the walking, what to call it, miracle of being human.
Yeah, got it. That's really beautiful overview of the loss of the essential self. I want to focus on that word integration, because being integrated, or the capacity to integrate, is something essential that develops very, I don't know how old the being is when they're developing the personal essence. Emilio, do you know?
I think there is different schools of thought. Some say that it's already there. Some say that needs to be developed. It's probably a bit of both.
Yeah.
It is probably potentially there and needs to be developed, because it does that. Because that is what it does. It develops. But I think the original capacity, potentiality is there from the beginning, but it's debatable. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, and it doesn't really matter when, I suppose, but so there's something, so the personal, so there's the essential self with all of the capacities, and then the personal, what we call in our work the pearl, or the personal essence, which is a particular essential quality. This is, according to my understanding, this is the only essential quality that develops, right, Emilio, as opposed to the other qualities. They don't develop, they re-emerge in life.
It's debatable again, because if you think of the will, the white latifa, the will, potentially, yes, is there. You start to manifest it at maybe 2-3 years old. You can see in children, they start to want to do different than what mother wants. They say no to everything. When it's time to sleep, they're tired, but they still want to stay up. They're experimenting. They realize that they can do something different, but it's kind of happening. And it's very rudimentary. It's just yes or no. It's just a little bit stubbornness, or, it's very basic. And you could, as we develop the personal essence in a way that it's also developing the will, because the will becomes more articulated, can do many more things rather than just yes or no, can be all kind of ranges, and it can learn things. So they interact, so they support each other. In fact, I think, sometimes we talk about the red pearl, the white pearl. There is different aspect of the human according to the quality. But I think personally, because this is a little bit maybe philosophical or technical, fact is, what I think it is useful to say is that, yes, we lost it. That loss doesn't mean that it's not there anymore, because it gets stuck inside some kind of reactivity, ego patterns. For example, the aliveness, the strength can get stuck in anger in certain patterns. So it's still there, but it's in a way that it doesn't really represent me anymore. It became like a pattern, fixed pattern. And then as I work on myself and I see, and I do, the inquiry and the processing, I reconnect with that. I freed that quality from those reactive patterns. And in that way, that is how I integrate it. I'm able to allow it to flow in my system, not just in one way. Some people just get angry or nothing. It's just when they're just one way. They come home, they get angry and scream and discharge. That's it. That's all. The energy comes and they waste it. They kind of waste it out and discharge it, and then so it's wasted in a way. They experience it is still there in a very rudimentary form. So as we do the work, integration means that energy is free to move in any other ways. So that, for as an example, that fire that could be in anger could be the fire of truth, can be the energy that gives me the courage to tell to somebody what I feel or what I think the truth is. So it becomes integrated in that way, that becomes available to the individual to come out of the patterns and be real. So that's how I see it.
Yeah, that makes sense. So for all of us, this is all adults prior to spiritual development work, our essential qualities are sort of arising in this distorted, patterned, conditioned manner. So adults who are beginning to, is it long or desire a return to this more natural state, what sort of thoughts and feelings are dominant when that starts to take hold?
It's quite lonely to be separated from ourselves. It's quite lonely. It's quite hard to just be in functioning, grown up, perfectly functioning mechanically, and having forgotten all the childhood, childish, being everything forgotten, just become functional and being pushed around by jobs and responsibility. Is there. Of course, humans start to long for something deeper. They may not know what it is. Some people may long for shopping because, whatever. Some people long for something and they put that longing into some object. For many people, some idols, they build some idols. But even that, they're not happy for long. When they get the new dress, after 2-3 days, they want another one. So they miss something, we miss something, and then we never find it until we find the connection to ourselves. And that is what really fulfills. Like when I can be me. I mean, it's very simple, being myself. It's not something very esoteric. It's very normal. And it's so fulfilling just to be me as I am, even with the shortcoming and limitation. I don't have to be an enlightened, 100%. When I can be in touch with myself, I can tolerate some limitations and work through, because that is the work. That is my practice. So I think people miss themselves, miss the being, the real, because the values that we receive from family and society, they are a little bit empty. They're shallow, cultural, and not essential, let's say. Most of them, not for everybody, but it's just generally speaking.
Yeah, I like that we miss ourselves. That's lovely. So let's talk maybe a little more about this false self that develops in place of the true self, which is still true. There's something true in the false self. It's not well, do you agree with that, Emilio, firstly?
Personally, I even have to watch myself from using that word, the word false, and even ego, because it's carrying such a stigma. Even people that are not doing spiritual work, they say somebody's ego is too big. So everybody's having a go at the ego. All kinds of religions, they have to kill it. It's not existing. You're too narcissistic. And we start to wonder, interesting, because everybody has it. And it seems to be very useful, and it seems to be a feature of this incarnation of, they would like saying, it's when they were saying having a body is dirty, like, I don't know, in the Christian tradition, it's like, I think it's a limitation in the language and in the culture. And I think it's a perfectly functioning interface, useful, indispensable, necessary, and it can be informed rather than from the misunderstandings, misinformations of family and society, can be informed, re-informed by the being, by the real. And it loves it. Because you see, even the most, we're looking for idols, we're looking for things to fill that emptiness we were talking about before. But then it's never happy with the material, with the outer things, the ego. So there is a wisdom. The ego is looking for the self. It's looking for the real, but it's looking in the wrong places. Everybody's like, me, look at me. We think they're narcissistic. We judge them. We think, they're full of themselves. But all they do, they're looking for themselves by true reflection. They want to be seen. So even a most unspiritual person is looking for themselves. Everybody's busy in the social media trying to polish their image. Why? They want to somehow feel that self. So if the ego starts to become educated, not just mentally, not just philosophically, through experiences. For example, when I show up, I go to someone, I have a confrontation, something, an issue, cannot confront a person. And then when I summon up some confidence and courage and I do that, and I speak my truth, for example, I say the truth, it comes from the self, comes from the real. Fine, not all the time, sometimes can also be a reaction, but sometimes it happens that we really show up. We open up, maybe in love, falling in love and telling somebody that I love you. We show up in times. When we go home, the ego is so excited that it happened. We go to our friends, say, you know what happened? I told them, I don't know how I did it. The ego gets so excited when the Lord, our real, shows up. The more we practice, the more this happens, the more this ego falls in love with the real. So it becomes a servant.
Well, I've never heard this before, Emilio. I really like it. Yeah.
So in the Sufi tradition, there is one of the stations of this. I'm not an expert, but so I may be a little bit wrong, but I'm speaking to express what I want to say, which is in my experience. So they say that it converts. The ego converts, like in the sense of religious conversion, towards the self, the real self. So it becomes, they say, Abdullah is the servant of the divine. So the ego becomes the servant. So if you think of it in a very simple way, it doesn't have to be so esoteric. You go to another country, you go to a different country, and they say, when in Rome, you do what they do, so you to be accepted. And that's the ego creating the conditions so I can go around the street, be myself, and nobody is going to point the finger at me or do, so I create the condition that I can relax, be myself, and people respect me. So you come to England, you say please. You go to Italy, you can ask somebody something without saying excuse me. Different protocols. You go to European beaches, you can wear something light. You come to Turkey, you maybe cover up a little bit more. You do as they do. So the ego becomes skillful means to be among people, not to comply with the limitations, but to be able to actually, by kind of fitting in, not to disappear, but to be able then to show up. Because once you fit in, people trust you, then you can be yourself. It's easy to understand the function of the ego. So the more the ego is understood and has experienced these real expressions of the real, enjoy them, fall in love, then it's not a problem, it's a necessity.
There's something that's occurring to me as you're speaking about this. So there's still sort of a dualism in how you're speaking there. So is it, and I guess it is like this in the beginning, when we're experiencing our essential qualities, it's still us and there's a duality. It's not like we know ourselves as strength.
And the language and the limitations of the education that we went through in the spiritual. So there is this duality also because of the language, because of the previous teachings that we've been assimilating. So that's why I say sometimes I really need to be careful what I'm saying, because even in the language, there is that duality, not just duality, because that's okay, as you say, sometimes it feels like a visitation, but there is some sort of preference, like one is good and one is bad, and that is not the case, even if sometimes people do bad things, and so you can say that happens. So yeah, we need to try to understand it a little bit, not so literally.
Yeah,
Using the language to deliver a message, and that is not to be taken literally what we're saying.
Yeah, that makes sense. So this ego that we develop, so your ego, my ego, the question that I've been having that I wanted to put to you is really, what do you see as being the main forces shaping this false self? I know you don't like the term, but what are the maybe 2 or 3 primary forces shaping the ego?
The negativity, you mean?
Not even the negativity. So
The ego
say
is.
I'm not sorry.
Sorry. No,
No,
go
it's
ahead.
okay. I'm asking this, maybe if I explain why I'm asking this question. So I have a personality, and I'm beginning to get to know what this personality likes, it doesn't like, why it reacts the way it reacts. And for a long time, I've used the Enneagram to help me to discover my personality. And the Enneagram is good for helping me know my personality. And I recently am realizing that the influence of the particularly mother is a very determinative of the personality as well. So the relationship with mother. So this is why I'm asking you this question. So how does Emilio become Emilio and Rezan becomes Rezan? Like what are the core influences?
I think you named it.
Oh yeah, I named it, right?
Well, imagine if you use the metaphor of operating system, software, and this
Yeah.
system that is blank when it's born. So there is no cortex, no neural pathways not formed. All these potential connections that are ready. This thing is ready to be written, impressed by experiences, and these experiences will form. I'm not a neuro biologist, so I don't know exactly how it works, but it creates certain sort of written hardware patterns. If you engraved sort of the experiences, repetitive experiences, and the reaction to the experiences forms a kind of almost like a basic operating system. And so they happen mostly with mom at the beginning because we spend a lot of time with her, or the caretaker, or the person that is with the child. So all of these impressions through relational and caretaking, they form the beginning of the personality where all the other things gonna be written upon. Is the programming happens firstly with mom and family, and then our country, society. And then we try to improve, upgrade, have our own beliefs, go against our mother, but going against our mother is still in relationship to our mother because we do the opposite. Everything goes around the first years of life that we formed. So that's one side. Plus, there is all the misunderstanding of our family and society, like all the limitations of our parents and our society, and blind spots and distortions. They get given to us maybe as truths, like it's true. You should not. I mean, there is some, you should not do this, you should not do that, or this is how it is, or this is what you should do. So many things which are not true belief system. You see, like even if you look at humanity, we believed that Earth was flat, and then it got up the. So, in a way, our families have so many beliefs like that they are not true, in our societies too. So imagine how it is for the being to be born here among these people that they think they know everything, and they know very little, and they have many misunderstanding, many misinformation. So that is the cause of it's our ignorance that we call it the bad side of the ego. The ego is just a mechanism, it's a capacity, functioning capacity of the human being.
Yeah. It's like a developmental sort of achievement, isn't it? An ego and yeah.
Survival is like the humans, they came out of just hunting or eating, being, and developed this, I don't know how it came about, but it's magnificent system. But it's so beautiful. It's like, I think the fourth way, the very nice way to look at it. I think they were talking about like you were given a spaceship with all so many engines and different engines for different functions, and then all these computers, and everything is wired the wrong way because of the place where we are born. So it doesn't work. But it's wonderful. The human machine, the human biological machine is amazing. It's like, it's so beautiful to be in the body, to see, to walk, to love, to eat. It's a miracle.
Yeah, you're right. It is. It's all too easy to disconnect from that truth, the miraculousness, for sure.
It's amazing. My grandmother, 95, I say, how are you? And she's saying, it's nice to be here. Just a little bit, maybe don't see so well,
Yeah,
but it doesn't
it's
matter.
nice to be here.
Life is so beautiful.
Yeah, that's so simple. Such a simplicity in that. Yeah. So back to maybe personal essence and the well, let's say in our last conversation we were naming or looking at some of the challenges of being ourselves and being ourselves when we're with people, and that's what the personal essence or the pearl gives us the ability to do, to be. It's helpful in relating and functioning, not helpful, but it's needed in relating and functioning. We need this. So what's my question? Yeah, maybe I'm not sure I have a question actually. Do you have anything that you want to say more about that? About the challenges of being ourselves and
What comes to mind is the trap of the spiritual
mm,
world that start to create this idea that the ego is wrong. I need to try, there is a destination, and that becomes idealized and becomes also another pattern.
mhm.
The spiritual philosophy can become another Lions Club.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
And that is
the ego claims it.
yeah, just
Sorry,
that
Anita.
there is ignorance in that idea that there is something to, which is true that we develop, but we need to be careful not to then think that there is not here now, because the self is always here. Maybe it can be more explicit, but if we start to think, well, I don't have it till I get there, then we fall into the predicament of kind of wishing for creating an idol. It's
Mm-hmm.
another idea that I need to, it was not anymore the status quo, it's not anymore maybe material thing, but it's becoming a so-called spiritual state or spiritual a goal, and that puts it outside
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
into something which is not then allowing me to be me until I get there, or until I get the promotion would be if it's a material thing. So the spiritual work can become very tricky in the sense that we can get lost there, because tendency is to be lost.
Yeah, yeah. So you're saying we can have an idea about what it means to be ourselves in relating that is not actually based on reality. So we can have an idea that being ourselves when relating always looks sort of kind and generous, and when sometimes it looks quite direct or assertive or yeah, that sort of.
Yeah, for example, we have a certain idea of what is to be, and you see that we should be more open, we should be more,
Mm,
and they're all good things, but sometimes I'm not.
yes,
And then if I
sometimes.
accept that rather than thinking is wrong, then
Mm,
it's different. So we need to be careful not to, because we know in our work we have an understanding about the superego, the part of the mind of the personality structure, which is rejecting, judging, comparing. That is can take anything and use it against us. It's I always say
mhm.
it's like the American police when they arrest somebody. They say whatever you say can be used and will be used against you. It's like that.
Yeah,
Whatever you learn, it will be used against you. You have a nice experience. You're meditating, and then next meditation is going to say why you don't have that again.
it really is like that actually. That's exactly like my experience of the superego. Yeah. You can do no wrong, do no right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you do it right, you say, great, now you got it, but then next time is not coming. It's just there is a gratification that is rewarding for a while, that is pumping up, the ego feels better because there
Yeah.
is some appreciation. Okay, now it was great. And we can say, oh, I had a great meditation together. I experienced it lets us have it. And then next time say, what? Oh, okay, what happened now? Now you need to pretend. What people will come to you, and then what you're going to say? What will they think
Mm.
of? To build the self, to maintain that, then you should have the same experiences over and over to have it. So it's a trap. So we need to really be careful with it.
Yeah. Sort of policing our authenticity and things like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Which actually I think people of our type naturally police or our have that
But policing the
harshness.
police,
Yeah.
It's not policing ourselves. We need to police the police.
Police the police. Yeah, yeah. Um, so something I've been noticing. So when I am in no way realized in the personal essence, but I'm working with my group doing the pearl work. And what I'm noticing is, so I am paying more attention to my functioning, so my levels of, should we say, efficiency, competence, and capability. And these are all natural capacities that we have, and it's difficult to sort of get your superego away from those words. But when I have an honest look about my functioning, I see many instinct distortions. So yeah, I don't know another way to say that. So distortions in my survival drive, distortions in the social, and then distortions in the sexual instincts, and these things really impacting functioning. And yeah, do you have any reflections on that, Emilio?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what we were saying. Everybody gets conditioned in a particular way from experiences. So we cannot totally undo, because then we will become a lobotomy. Is to reset the machine, and it will be, you know what I mean? We need to work with what we've got. And certain things are written in the nervous system very deeply, and it may take a long time to change through being touched by the essential dimension, for example. So we can rewire some of those distortions by corrective experiences, let's say what they call in psychology corrective experience. If those corrective experiences are coming from embodying our true self, we can correct some. It's not correcting, it's just those patterns, they become able to embody more frequencies. They get freed from but certain things may be characters, deep imprints may be how we are, in the sense that it's difficult to totally rewrite everything, especially when we, maybe the more transcendental experiences is easier when we do not have to relate, interact, do anything. But in the relational, interpersonal, difficult to really rewire, because also in a way is what makes us ourselves. So if we think of those patterns or distortions or as the husk of the seed, it's like the type of experience that have conditioned us, and also they give us the food for transform us. But even the transformation, even if because of my lived experiences are different from yours, what I transform into by digesting my lived experiences is different than you. It constantly individuates us. So the idea of the human being is to become always more and more unique. Because imagine the spirit is like an artist. I mean, God, let's say, whatever, the creative principle is not going to like it, repetition. What is the most boring thing is the repetition. Like artists want to do new things all the time. So the creative principle through this human being is not interested in making us all the same. What would be the point to cloning? It's like ants. The beauty is that we are all so different. And if we start to look at ourselves and say, oh, but this is distorted, it's just, I understand what you mean, but also we need to understand what I mean. We need to embrace those differences and think this is the material I have to build on.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I so need to hear this right now. Like this is, and I'm having the image of, there's that, I think it's in the Japanese culture, there's that vase with the cracks that makes it, unique and beautiful. It's the cracks that make something special. And of course, this is very much in the territory of the point, in a way. I mean, the point, at least from an ego perspective, is all about uniqueness and individuality. And I'd like to talk more about this what you said about digesting experience, which is in the pearl territory, and then this creating more and more individuation, which seems to in the point territory. Is that right, how I said that?
Yeah. So if you think of it, at the beginning, we forget the self, the child we were, and then we become mechanically functioning. And the digestion means transforming that layer that is functioning but is disconnected from the self because it did everything that asked us to do. And so we reconnected to the self, then the self can express through that. And of course there will be some, I have Italian accent, but I can speak what I can sing my song.
Yeah, of course. I mean, and
And I
none
have
of
Italian accent. I cannot remove it. It's okay.
no,
I can try to
but
be
we don't.
British. I can try, but it's so.
Yeah,
But
we don't tend to want to remove.
but
Sorry,
I could
Emilio.
be Italian and just talk as an Italian, like what every Italian says, mechanically, like status quo.
Mm.
I can just say, what the Italian think, I can be animated by the Italian software. Or I can still have the Italian part of the Italian software, like my accent and how I learned philosophy, grammar, many, many things. But I can use that to speak, to express what I want to tell you. So that's the difference. And so as we reconnect with the point, with the self, then the part that is being programmed start to function the best it can to express what the real self wants to do, want to say.
Yeah. Okay. Can you say a little more? I know it's like getting late. I'm not going to keep you longer than the hour, but can you say a bit more about this process of digesting? What do you mean by it? How do we actually do that?
So the Red Latifa is a good example. Yeah, this vitality, strength, capacity to assert that when it's also the fire of the individual, that when somebody wants to take our freedom away, we fought wars, we fought revolutions. The spirit is hot. Human spirit is hot. So this is, as I was saying before, this aspect, this fire of the human is too much for the family. In order to tame us, they need to close a little bit because it's like fire. And so we may end up forgetting the fire, disconnecting from the fire. And that is a pattern, is a negative pattern or is a personality pattern. I never show my fire anymore because I was punished, because they didn't like it, because I was getting aggressive. We have all different reasons why it was not okay. And so now the personality is stuck in a way which closes that fire. So that is the distortion, let's say. And that needs to be metabolized, needs to be digested. So what does it mean? It means that I need to be able to let the fire out. I need to, but I don't mean aggressively. I mean, I need to be able to have the fire in my system and that fire will not trigger anything mechanical. I can embody my fire and I can be totally quiet. I can burn this flame, this freedom flame, this energy flame, this beautiful flame. I can burn inside my body, inside my being, and not doing anything with it unless I need to. But the personality now for many people is like keep it down until then something happened and they get angry. It's on off.
Yeah.
So this system needs to be metabolized. The system that's always off, always on, some. So that is the structure that is not able to allow the fire to be there all the time, that we need it in our system to be alive, to have that warmth of the fire, the inner sun shining. So metabolizing, allowing that fire to run through us more and more, and sometimes we may lose our temper even a little bit in that experiment.
Yeah.
Allow the personality becomes more flexible. Those patterns we were afraid of embodying it because we get in trouble. They start to have courage. They feel the fire in it, and they don't not so afraid of having the fire. We will not be punished again. So this process of allowing it to flow and see what happens, and mentoring the ego, assisting the ego in this operation, and metabolize in a way the false belief they fall that people will not like me if I'm showing up. Maybe it's not true. Maybe they like me more because everybody likes a person when he's showing up, by the way. Even if they don't say inside there, when we watch a movie and somebody's showing up, we love it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So this is kind of in a simple way to, what is the metabolizing of the ego means is just to give it more wings, give it more capacity to really let the self through. And now it's not my mom anymore telling me what I should do. And it's just I'm in charge and I'm making mistakes because I'm growing, I'm evolving. So sometimes I need to go back to the person and say, I'm sorry, I lost my patience. And then there is also respect in that, maybe sometimes we can be deepening the connection through going and say, I'm sorry, I lost my patience a little bit. So it's not so bad to make mistakes in the process of integrating our essence.